All right, we're looking at the inside of the vehicle now, and a couple things I want to note is if you look up at the front end above there, that's actually a gear loft that I made using a gear loft from an old Eureka tent that I had years ago. I found that in my gear closet as I was going through and cleaning it out, and I decided to repurpose it as a gear loft in here. I took out the grab handles on both sides. The second gen Honda CR-V has 2 grab handles on each side, and so I took those out and I put little O-rings in there in where the bolt holes were, and I ran I think it's like 1,000 or 1,100 paracord. You know, you got 550, and then there's the thicker kind that's like twice the thickness as the 550. I took that thicker paracord and I ran it all the way around in a U shape from the one side, the driver's side back of the vehicle, down the driver's side, across the front, and then down the passenger side all the way back to the back of the vehicle. And there, if you notice up here, I've got blackout curtains. I took and bought a set of blackout curtains at Walmart, and when I was in there, I think 2 comes in a set, and I actually cut those in half. And then you can go back into the craft aisle, and you can, there's like little grommets you can get, little metal or brass grommets. And so I made those, and I zip tied them up to the paracord that I ran throughout the interior of the vehicle. So I've got blackout curtains for the front, and then this one here on the side. And then going back to the gear loft, when I made it, I lashed the gear loft to the paracord webbing that I ran around the interior of the vehicle, and then underneath the gear loft, I ran 550 paracord webbing back and forth in an X pattern, using little S hooks that I also bought on there back in the craft aisle in Walmart, and those worked pretty good, and I like how that turned out. But covering now the interior and how I actually convert this into a bed. Actually, right quick, I want to do a couple more things to show you guys. The first is, this is a One Tigress Molly seat bag organizer that I bought on Amazon, and I plan on doing a gear review on that. I've used it for about, I want to say about 8 to 10 months. I had all these little pouches here that I usually take like when I go backpacking and such, and so I ended up putting these on the back here, and it really makes a very good storage area for, I would say, necessities. You got your a first aid kit. I've got some stuff here to do to start campfires and such, and tinder. And then here I've got a Camelback bottle, and I think there's an Nalgene in there. And this one I've got empty. I haven't even figured out what to put in there yet, but it's definitely worth having. Even if you don't do a camper conversion build, if you're big into outdoors and you have a lot of these bags, I definitely recommend getting a Molly seat bag organizer for your vehicle. Very useful. But let me put the camera down and slide the seat forward. you side the seat forward and you fold it forward. Now, a couple things I want to cover here is this is hinged. There's a piano hinge along here. And so this flap, or extension as I like to call it, folds over. But before I actually fold it over, one thing I want to point out is if you look, I actually built on this, I believe that's almost a 3-inch lip. No, I take it back, 1.5-inch lip. But that's an 1.5-inch lip, and then I also took another 3/4-inch piece of plywood, made a lip on the front of this to support, and then this is a leg I made that actually supports the extension on the side over here. Now this extension is folded out and it supports, I'm a big guy, so it supports my weight. It's supported on both that side and this side as well. Now with that folded out, I can actually access a hatch here that gives me access. When these lock into place, it holds the hatch open, and it gives me access to the storage underneath the platform at the front end of the platform. And then of course the rear also has a hatch, which I'll show in just a moment. And as you can see, there's plenty of storage space underneath this underneath the platform. Now going into some of the other nuances here that I've built into it, I custom built this coat rack. I bought these hooks at Home Depot, and then I took some 3/4-inch birch that I had left over, and I trimmed a piece, painted it, and then for good measure, I also put a coat of polyurethane over the top of it. And so it, you know, utilizes this dead space here, and then I can hang, like here I've got a towel, I can hang my day packs, I can hang jackets or hat. So I really enjoy having that. It's very useful. I've used it quite a bit actually. I took them out for right now, but I have a couple day packs that I hang up there. One when I go hiking, another when I go mountain biking, and then I also have my mountain biking helmet that I hang up there too. So it's been very useful, and I've definitely utilized that. Now over here, these two bins I can access from the passenger side door, and I'll show you guys in a minute how I do that. And then in the back, these aren't accessed from the back, of course. Up top, the window's actually on the other side. But I use those as basically my closet area, you know, place to put all my clothing and such. And then up top, I put rain and winter gear. So I've got jackets, rain jackets, sweaters, stuff like that I normally won't use unless it's unless the weather actually calls for it. But it's up and out of the way, so it's a good place to store it. So I like that it has that extra shelf up top that I can store stuff like that. And then to go up into a little more, here's the gear loft that I was talking about earlier that I made. Coming around to the back side, I've got the hatch here in the rear that again opens up, locks in place, and I can access the rear part of this the platform, the storage area underneath the platform, And also to note, the second gen Honda CR-V comes with a table, and so under that table it looked like that was a spare tire well, and of course the spare tire is mounted on the back door, so that makes a very good storage area as well for things that aren't used on an everyday basis, but you definitely need to carry with you, like for example jumper cables, such like that. Now this is the little area, this little cubby here that a lot of people were saying would be perfect for putting in a battery and an inverter for solar, but right now it's just been a catch-all. I've got a little bit of miscellaneous in here, but again, what I like about it is I can actually access the little area over here where the jack and some of the tools are, so that's very useful as well. So I also want to cover this over here. I utilized the dead space that was right around this window area. What I first did is I took a layer of Reflectix and I taped it down to some foam board, and then of course I cut it to the size to fit in this window area, and then I put the Reflectix and the foam board up and taped that into place. And so I had this dead space here, and I was trying to figure out how to utilize it, and I found a website that has this mesh netting, well, not mesh netting, I'm sorry, stretchy netting, and you can get they have shot cord, and you can even get the little ties and stuff, which I did put screw holes into the trim here, but for my needs, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I don't plan on selling this anytime soon. So anyway, I built this little webbing here, or this netting, custom made it to size, and then I figured, you know, this would be a good place to store like blankets and such like that. So that's what that area is used for, and utilizing that dead space there. Coming around to the passenger side, when I open up, as you can see, I've got the cabinets here. This cabinet here accesses the top bin that you can access from both inside the vehicle and here on the side. And then this one is the bottom, which you can access again from the inside or here on the outside. And what I used these magnetic catches. I've got two on each cabinet door. Now this is my pantry, and this is only accessible on the passenger side door here. But this is where I keep my canned goods and such like that. I've got a couple mountain houses, but I really like this. I like the setup of it. It's a good place to store stuff like this out of the way. I don't have to take up a tote or anything like that. Now, I will say this: I will not store anything but like canned goods in here. Anything that's in soft packages or stuff like that, I'll either have a soft-sided cooler or I'll store in my bear canister. But this is for canned goods and stuff like that. This is a ideal storage solution. And another thing to point out is I can get one stacked here of like I say a Progresso soup on the top shelf. On the bottom, I can actually stack them too high. So, you know, that's perfect for me. You know, I can probably take out a month's worth of food just in this little pantry area alone when I go out, say, boondocking. And then down below, I've got two 5.5 gallon water jugs or water tanks. I bought those at Cabela's, and they weren't too bad. I think Reliant makes them, if I remember right. But they were like 20 bucks a piece. And then I also have my camp stove here, which is at the moment a Coleman, but I did order in, and I'm waiting for it to come in, a gas one dual fuel that's butane and also propane. but this is an ideal area to store that. Fits perfectly. And into the front passenger area. And now I do have some space here that I've thought about, like making say a paper towel rack, or you know, something like that. I also have a little fire extinguisher, which I may actually mount to this area right here. Maybe a good place for it. And you know, just a couple other things to point out is I've got this thing here that I bought on Amazon. It's a seat organizer, and it's I found it very useful. You can put like little tools, pens. It's got 3 areas where you can put water bottles. I've got a water bottle here. There's another on the side that you can put a water bottle, and even this place up front. And then what I like about it is I can store my maps, my National Geographic Atlas. These are my benchmark maps, state specific. I think I got like 6 or 7 states there. But anyway, one last thing I will do is let me actually put my mattress, my trifold mattress, in on this, so you guys can get an idea of what it would look like with a mattress on it.